Time management, an issue everyone deals with at some point in their lives. As students, we're often given the gargantuan task of balancing a busy course load, extracurriculars, volunteering, and are expected to still have time to spare for being a teenager. Sorry to disappoint you, but you won't be able to time travel after watching this short video. That would be great though, wouldn't it? Instead, I'll be giving you some tips and tricks to help you on your way to use this week's 168 hours to accomplish all you need and want to get done, hopefully with time to spare. Just as a quick introduction, I'm Anais Rojas, a grade 11 full IB student with a love for math and the arts. If you have any questions after this presentation, please feel free to contact me in the Discord server or by email. So without further ado, let's get started. Welcome to the Procrastination, a country whose operation revolves around its most abundant resource, time. When time is low, the procrastinators make it their duty to get anything and everything done before their budgeted time runs out. But most of this stress could be avoided if only they could schedule, plan, and prioritize a bit more effectively. If only they had more self-control. If the procrastinators can't take responsibility for the time they have and earn from the people around them, then any sort of time managing system they implement will be a failure. The procrastinators already have a system in place to manage their time, but many of them are uncommitted to keeping it updated, rendering it ineffective. The lack of official reports on the system also reveals that the procrastinators pay no attention to what the system has done in the past. Meet Schedule Ling. She's the assistant manager of a small fitness startup, Planet Incorporated. She's a bit of an introvert and doesn't like invading other people's schedules. Instead, she lets herself be controlled by the individual department managers of her corporation and ends up working 80-hour work weeks most of the time. Miss Ling wants a solution. Luckily for us, we have the Power Factor, a plan which will help boost her confidence and put her in control of her own time. The Power Factor helps her decide who she needs to and should accommodate into her schedule, and who should accommodate her. Soon enough, she is promoted to manager, and along with it, her opportunities and ability to influence and be influenced by other people's schedules also changes. She is seen as a responsible manager now in control of her own time, and makes sure to never get ahead of herself in controlling people's schedules. When organizing conferences with other startup managers, she always makes sure to let the busiest managers decide on the dates, so she is able to organize everybody else around these busy beavers' best times to meet. Miss Ling is able to effectively lead her team, and anybody feels comfortable talking to her. Miss Ling values the time she spends with others, and makes sure to plan important things far in advance. Because of this, she feels comfortable knowing where she should be at a given time, and looks even more in control with the people who trust her with their time. However, in a small startup, her circumstances can change. She soon learns that it is often more time-consuming to remove herself from a pre-planned situation which has taken priority in her life. Thus, Miss Ling decides to tackle planning her interactions with the people in the company, and finds it helpful to employ the ABC priority system. She classifies each meeting into high priority, A, medium priority, B, and low priority, C. On the first day, she cannot get to all of her A-level interactions, so she pushes them to first priority the following day. This way, she never falls behind on the most important tasks and keeps everybody at Planet Incorporated organized. With all of this planning, Miss Ling is still working 80 hours a week. She needs to remember that not every minute of every day needs to be high time. Relaxation is just as important as her work, as without rest, she won't be able to function to the best of her ability. The same goes for everybody in her company. In short, tired and stressed people will work inefficiently and produce sloppy results. It's impossible for anybody, including Miss Ling, to be working 100% of the time, so she needs to be patient and tolerant with anybody around her and herself. She's noticed that many people in the company plan vacation time, but they usually don't end up taking it off because the company takes priority. While she sees her employees as dedicated, Miss Ling can't help but be worried for their health, so she tells them to make room in their schedule for small chunks of high-intensity rest and relaxation at the very least. She also takes part in this, spending a couple of minutes meditating every day and listening to music, and sees a big difference in her mental health in the following weeks. Miss Ling once saw empty blocks in her day as a time when she was not doing anything useful. However, in the past little while, she has grown to see them as a bit of time to help pick up speed by completing smaller tasks, which may have not made it into her primary to-do list. In these pockets of time, she's able to boost her output and mood by feeling more productive overall. Now, Miss Ling schedules her leisure time just as she would any other commitment, and this time it's a commitment to her own health and happiness. In a startup, it's inevitable that unexpected things will happen to throw her off balance. One day, one of her coworkers asks her to attend an important meeting with a sponsor. Her previously implemented system would have been too complex to deal with this last-minute schedule change, and would have put the entire office into a frenzy. However, Miss Ling knows how much time she needs to spend on other things on her priority list for the day. If the latest the sponsor can meet her is dinner time, so 7 o'clock that night, she plans her day backwards to figure out the latest time she must have everything else in the office completed. It is currently 10 a.m., so if it takes her 1 hour to get ready and drive to the restaurant for the meeting, she must finish her other tasks by 6 p.m. at the latest. Since she knows these tasks can be finished by 5 o'clock from experience, she arranges for the meeting at 6:30. In her list of many definite and open-ended tasks, she tackles everything she knows she can finish first, and leaves her open-ended tasks to the very end, spending only the time she has allotted for them to stay on track. Miss Ling finishes everything she needs to at the office, and a bit more, and makes it to the meeting 10 minutes early and succeeds in gaining a sponsorship from the company. She also makes it a habit to use her morning exercise routine as a primer to make sure the rest of her day also goes smoothly. To-Do List is an intern at Planet Incorporated, struggling to get everything done in his life. For him, he never knows what to focus on since for him, everything is important at the same time. What he needs to figure out is that not everything he calls important should be at the top of his priority list every single day. Urgent tasks tend to dominate his life most of the time, but we have the time management matrix to help him out. By separating his tasks into urgent, not urgent, important, and not important, we make it much easier to help him spend more time on the important but not urgent tasks. Usually, Mr. List would ignore these until they became urgent. Sound familiar? By working on them through the semester, he was able to finish arranging a conference promoting equality in the fitness community, determine the cost of additional advertising, and determine the feasibility of opening a new location without having to shift his schedule around to accommodate these projects last minute. Mr. List often asks his Czech half-brother, another Mr. List, for help organizing his clutter. Similar to his papers, he also groups everything in terms of priority or uses a color-coding system. We also help the brothers finish one thing at a time by keeping everything simple and not dealing with more than one of the lists at a given time to make sure that the priorities of both brothers are met. Previously, they had both believed it was most important to get the most things done, when really the goal was to check off the highest priority items. Knowing what fit within their priorities made it much easier for them to make decisions when confronted with additional commitments. The List brothers are both very ambitious, so they can get ahead of themselves with their expectations of themselves. They often end up with too much to do in a short amount of time, decreasing their net productivity because of the time they spend arguing about how everything will get done. For them, it is important that they tackle one task at a time and don't get caught up in the furnishing. Disappointments in life are inevitable, but they can be avoided if they stay realistic. To-Do wants to organize a fundraiser to bring a smart nature walking program into local schools. However, his brother tells him to make sure that his goal reflects the values of the national parks, as well as the values of the school. He needs to outline exactly which schools he plans on helping, how the program counts as a success, if this is feasible within a specific time interval, if it is necessary and relevant, and how much time he will have to accomplish his goal. His brother decides to use an app to track the donations via a crowdfunding website and advertises the campaign to his local university and community centers. In 6 months, the Lists have provided local schools with a sustainable smart nature walking program for all students with monthly trips to the local national park, and have been recognized as leaders in the local community. After this success, the List brothers are busier than ever. However, their new office is a complete mess, and they aren't able to do their work efficiently. The two brothers need to get rid of mental and physical clutter before they can manage their time effectively and reach the productive zone again. We help introduce them to a system to handle new information, in this case paperwork, only once, so it doesn't end up in an endless backlog in the long run. Just like physical clutter, the two brothers organize their mental clutter into 3 categories: keep, present, or toss. As for new information, they sort it into various piles: throw away or get rid of it, delegate it, act on it yourself, file it temporarily but act on it later, or file it permanently to find later. For example, important documents or things that do not need their immediate action and attention. As citizens of the procrastination, the List brothers constantly find themselves short of time. While organization and decluttering has helped, They need to break their tasks into smaller segments and stay motivated with snacks or a walk in the park every so often. Many people of the procrastination believe that tackling everything at once and switching between tasks frequently is the way to go. However, this is where many of them unintentionally lose the most time. The two brothers realize they lose the most focus switching between tasks in a workday, and later don't feel motivated to continue since they are stuck in a relaxed transition. No matter how much they try to cut these transition times, if they continue to multitask, these transition times will always exist. Thus, the two brothers decide to commit to one task at a time. Before this change, the two brothers were unable to stay focused on one task for an extended period of time, as they were accustomed to an ever-changing environment. As a result, the Lists have had more time for high-intensity fun, and enjoy going out into nature for camping trips with friends. Of course, many of the procrastination are perpetually stressed. A recent government study by the Procrastination has discovered that people from other countries with lower average stress levels tend to lead more successful and happier lives. Often these people would be the CEOs of many large corporations within the Procrastination. All of them had something in common. All of them were able to control their busy lives and schedule time to recharge. They are all able to deal with situations effectively without letting stress control their decision-making abilities. The government of the Procrastination wants every citizen to develop their own time management system. Their system could be anything, however, all citizens must use it consistently to guarantee results. Let's look at Miss Ling's new system. She records anything on the planner itself, as transferring notes is time-consuming and inefficient. She reviews her planner daily to stay on top of all of her tasks, and she always makes sure that she has access to her planner on her phone or her computer, making sure that she always backs up her information to a secondary app. She has also made sure to limit the time she spent setting up the system to 1 hour on a weekend by keeping her system simple but effective for her own needs. Well, there you have it. By exploring the lives of the List brothers and Miss Ling, you have learned the basics of time management. Hopefully this helps. Thank you for sticking around until the end, and don't forget that there will be a quiz which you do not have to study for 1 week from watching this video on the Discord server. So, stay tuned.